This is Mary Harmon, and you've always been Lutheran. Your father and mother were always Lutheran.
No, my mother was Baptist.
Oh,
When
really?
she married Daddy, she became a Lutheran. But Dad met her when she was staying with Aunt Leona, and they went to the little church, Lutheran church at Hooks. Mom and Dad got married. The church was still at Hooks, and the preacher that was there married them, but they got married at Grandpa Barthel's home outside of New Boston. And then later, when they wanted to move the church to Texarkana, my grandpa, and I think he was a Borgadine, kin to the Borgadines, really had a little argument about that I think led to blows. This was the story I heard. But they did move the church to Texarkana, so my grandpa and them didn't get to come a lot. But Mother and Daddy moved down here to Texarkana after they got married. They and Dad worked on the Sunshine Dairy Farm, and they lived there long enough for them to have a child, a little boy, and then they moved to. Daddy got a job on a pipeline company that was building a pipeline from Texas to California. He got that job, and they paid really high wages. So they lived there till after that. And well, he got I think Tex was about 5 or 6 months old when he got the job that moved, and they moved to California. And I have a brother that's older than me that was born in California, in El Centro, and I was born in Calexico. And when I was 18 months old, they came back to Texas.
What do you remember? You said you grew up in this church, right?
Well, they were in the Lutheran church, but from those days I don't remember that.
Right.
But I'm sure that I was baptized in Calexico.
Right.
Because I don't remember being baptized as I was growing up here.
Right.
But later on, after we lived here, well, we came to church down here.
On 4th Street?
Yes,
right.
4th and Hazel.
Right. So was 4th and Hazel where you and Bill were married?
No. We were going to get married there, but he was in the Army, and I told him that I owed my daddy a high school education because he never got one, and Mom never got one. And I heard that all my life, and that I couldn't marry him because I had another year of high school. And you know, back when I was going to high school, if you was married, you couldn't go to school. That was it, you know. When Bill left to go into Germany, I told him that if we still felt the same way when he came back, that we'd get married. Well, I didn't hear from him for a while. He was gone, so I went to school, Texarkana College, and I played ball, and I started in my second year. And it was in 1957, he came back in the fall, and we got married in December. So the Army messed his leave up, and we were going to get married at the Lutheran Church, 4th and Hazel. I had been confirmed earlier that fall. Went to get our license, and that girl asked me when she had all the forms filled out. She said, well, where are you getting married? And I said, at the Lutheran Church on 4th and Hazel. She said, not with this license, you're not. This is Texas. That's in Arkansas. So we went to Miller County Courthouse, and we got all that filled out. And she said, well, when's your wedding? And I said, Friday night. She said, not with this license. It's not. Because in Arkansas, you didn't need the health papers. You had to wait 3 days for the license. At that time, I don't know what it is now. So there we were. So Bill had to go back to Fort Hood, and so we called Pastor Hilberg, and the parsonage then was in Texas on Jerome Street. So we called him, and he said yes, but we'd have to do it earlier than we planned because he was supposed to go to a PTA meeting. And he was doing the prayer at a PTA meeting, so we were late for the wedding, of course, because we had to drive all the way in. We got lost. Bill stopped at the Old Rose Oil thing, and they gave us directions to Drone Street, which is in Arkansas. And when he crossed the viaduct, I said, "You got to turn around and go back. I know you're going the wrong way." But anyway, we finally got there late, and Stevie was little, Pastor's little boy. He was 5 or 6 years old then, and he wanted to stay in the living room, and Miss Emily said, "No, honey, you have to go to your room." He said, "Only if I can pay my music." So they said he could play his music. So all the time Pastor was doing our wedding ceremony, well, he was playing Jingle Bells in the back. So every Christmas we have laughed about that being our wedding music, you know. But anyway, we went in the military life then after that, and we've been everywhere just about.
Yeah.
We
But
went back to Germany.
Yeah.
Our first child was born in Alaska. We had twins born in El Paso, Texas. Then we went to Germany. And then Margie was born in Germany. We have 4 daughters. And the twin, Denise, was baptized at the Zion Lutheran Church in Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska. The twins were baptized at 4th and Hazel. And Margie was baptized at BFV Village Chapel in Germany.
Wow.
So we've all been, and Bill, when we were in Alaska and we had Denise baptized, Bill was confirmed
Oh, that's good.
to the Lutheran Church. So we've been in First Lutheran
A long time.
a long
Yeah.
time.
Well,
And, you know, it's because my parents were there.
is that one of your fondest memories, is your wedding?
Yes.
I would
And the stuff
imagine.
that went through with that.
Yeah, I imagine it was. Describe a typical Sunday at church when you were young. Do you remember that?
Some I do. We did not get to come as often as we wanted to.
Yeah, because you're so far away.
But when I was really little, I went to the Baptist church. We went to a little Methodist church in the country. Sunday school. The Baptist church then got a Sunday school bus, so that worked for us, for my dad.
So you didn't really get to come here.
I didn't get
much.
to come here much.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, we started confirmation lessons on Saturday, the
Right.
girls and I. But the boys didn't come.
Were you on the softball team? I know the girls
Yes, I was in.
were.
My girls
the
and
church
I
softball.
played church softball.
Yeah,
here.
because I've heard you guys were
We were good. we have trophies all over my house that the girls and I won.
That's wow. And was our church softball team pretty good? The women's?
The women's was good. Most of the time we got first place except for one Walnut Church of Christ. Walnut.
Well, I'm glad
But
you
you
were that
know,
good.
they had people that didn't go to their church that played on their softball team.
Well, I shouldn't say this, but we had ringers on the men's too. So.
Yeah.
How do you feel our church here has changed over the years?
Well, I feel like that this church is a come and go. It's a transfer town. People get transferred in, they work a while, they get built up, and they're like, even people that worked in big stores, you know, and then they have their job moves them somewhere else. This has been that kind of a church because it's constantly moved. The membership is moving.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because people move in and move out, and I've met some wonderful people that came and moved in and moved on.
Right.
And the old people that are still here that I remember even from when I was growing up was the Aarons and the Clements, Huey and Jean. And, you know, those people I've known for years and years.
Well, somebody told me you have a good story about Huey.
Oh. Well, Huey used to have this job where he did artificial insemination to cattle he worked. I don't know who he worked for, veterinary. But yes, we didn't have a telephone, and my dad used to come in and say, go to the Rennert's farm. That's the one that bought my Aunt Leona's house. Said, go to the Rennert's farm and call the bull. He called me the bull. I don't know. I should have said that. Now I'm embarrassed. But that was my funny story about who, and I was young then.
Well, he would have been too.
I know, he was young too, because he was,
Oh my gosh.
that was years ago. Many years ago. That was before I was married to Bill. That was over 50 years ago, 59 years ago.
Wow. Well, I think that's everything. Well, thank you.
Thank
This has
you.
been fun.